Hey friends, welcome back to Krusty Cranks, where we paint baits and make lures. Alright, today I'm going to do a short little video, and I know there's quite a few of these out there, but and I watched them, most of them, I think probably all of them, before I decided to take this little venture on. But we're going to start making some jigs, we're going to start making some spinnerbaits, we're going to start making some rooster tails, we're going to start making some chatterbaits, things like that. The reason is because when I'm out there selling baits, and the reason I get into these things is because somebody says, do you have any spinnerbaits? Do you have any chatterbaits? Or bladed jigs, as we have to call them. Jig heads, anything like that, you know. So I always say, well, if it sells, I'm going to make it. So, yeah. So before I started getting into the jigs and making the swim baits and the jig heads, whatever, I figured I needed a way to paint them, because I had tried a couple times to just dip them in the little jars, and I'll explain more of that to you, but I found out that it wasn't working out as good as I thought it would, or as easy as I thought it would. So what's everybody else doing? Well, they're making fluid beds. And let me explain to you a little bit, if you don't have much experience or don't know how this is done. A fluid bed is one of these. Okay, and what it is we use, these are Protect powder paints, and they're basically, it's like powder coating. If you ever seen something that's powder coated, this is usually the way it's done. So I needed to make a fluid bed for my powder paints. All right, so I thought I would just do this first, and then that way everybody will have an idea of how to make one, or how I made mine. I know there's a bunch of different ones out there that people make, but this is what seemed to work out really good for me. So I thought, well, I'm going to share this right away in the beginning, so people know how to make their own powder paint fluid beds, and that way, you know, there'll be a video for it if you want to make you one. Okay, so let me show you the parts we used to build one of these. All right, I went up to the hardware store and bought me a 10-foot piece of 2-inch PVC, schedule 40 PVC. All right, and let me bring in all the pieces that we need, and then I'll put the sizes in the description, so if you, when you want to build yours, you'll be able to have all the right sizes. Okay, so all these pieces here, we're going to start off with, first we're going to cut 3 pieces of that 2-inch PVC, and we're going to cut a piece that is 1.5 inches. This one's just a little bit under, but that doesn't matter. So 1.5 inches. Then we got another piece that is 2 inches, and then we got another piece that is 2 3/4. So you're gonna have 3 pieces you cut out of the schedule 40 2-inch PVC. All right, 3 of those, and then we got a coupler, and the coupler is, they call them 1.5 inches. It's a little over 1.5 inches. So we got 1.5 inch coupler, and then we got a 3-inch, they call it 3-inch coupler. Each one has a little sleeve down, little edge down in here that keeps it from sliding all the way in. Then we're going to need 2 of these test caps. They call them test caps. You can get them at Lowe's. I found them at Lowe's. They had a whole box full of them. They're like 81 cents. So I bought a whole bunch of them. You're going to need 2 of those. All right. And I'll put all these in the description so you know exactly what parts you need and the sizes. And then I bought a bag of these little valves, and obviously you're going to need a pump, little aquarium pump. I've got a dual one over there, and I just hook up my air line to it, and it's sitting over there already plugged in. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. And I decided that I wanted to, instead of having just a couple of them and mixing colors and all that, I thought I would just make one for each color that I have. That way I ain't got to keep dumping in powder, switching powders, getting contamination between colors and things. And then when I want to paint my jigs, I just pull down the colors that I want. Okay, all right, so let's assemble this guy. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do is take your 1.5" piece, the smallest one, and we're gonna glue one of these caps on the bottom, just like that. So what I did was I just used some Gorilla Super Gel glue and glue the bottom of it. I just put a little bit on there, and basically you're creating a little air chamber for that pump. Let me shake this and get it coming out. It's kind of thick, but you want to create a little air chamber right here. And it doesn't have to be perfectly airtight, but I like to glue my cap on the bottom, so that way it ain't falling off every time. Plus it does create a little air chamber in there so that you can build up a little pressure. The purpose is to fluff that paint up and make it kind of flow easy, because when I was finding that I was dipping them, I was finding out that I couldn't control it. I was getting big blobs of it on there, and I don't know if I was heating it too much or just not getting it evenly. It was just bugging me, and it was creating these drips like this because I was getting too much on there. This is still kind of a learning process for me, but I've made quite a few now, so I think I've got it down. And this glue's not wanting to cooperate. It's not wanting to come out of there. It's probably gonna all come out at once. It doesn't take a lot. You just need a little bit on there to make contact with it. Let me see if I can poke something down through there. Get it coming out. Sorry about that. You know, I'm not one that likes to make you sit here and wait on me. I like to do all my stuff, wash, clean my brushes, do all that stuff that you don't have to sit here and watch me do and be bored. But there it goes. Okay, it comes out in one big blob, of course. All right, so basically I'm going to super glue this down on here. And I went on and made, like, I think I've got like 12 of them up there for all the different colors that I've bought so far. There's a ton of colors. It's just like paints, you know. Gradually buy the ones you like, or the ones you want to make, and then you can just keep building your collection. And these are easy enough that you can just make one real quick. Especially if you got a 10-foot piece, you're gonna get a bunch of them out of that. I still have got probably 4 foot left after cutting all these up. So glue that bottom on there like so. All right, and we'll let that dry. In the meantime, I'm gonna take this piece, and that's the only piece that I'm gonna glue outside of the valve that we're gonna put in. All right, so I'm gonna take that piece right there, and I'm gonna stick it up inside the collar, just like so. And I'm gonna push that up in there as far as it will go. And I even put them on the ground and step on them just to make sure they're all the way up in there. Okay. There's the inside of my air chamber right there. And the reason I use bigger ones, some guys use the smaller ones, and that's fine. You can do that. No big deal. It's up to you. I wanted a little bigger air chamber. I just thought I could control a little better, and then I would have more of a constant flow. Because I didn't know how all this was going to work out. So I thought the bigger the chambers that I can create, then I won't have to worry about going back and making bigger ones when I want to dip bigger baits in there. Okay, so all right, so we got our bottom on there. All right, next we're going to take the 2-inch piece. All right, I'm sorry, we're going to take the 2 3/4 inch piece, the big piece. So here's one that I've been working on, but I just didn't put it all the way together because I wanted to show you. Okay, so next we're going to take the bigger piece, and the reason I used the bigger piece was because I wanted to have a deeper chamber to put my paint in. All right, so let me get that down in there like so. So we're using the 2 3/4 inch piece next. So first piece was 1.5 inches. Then we went to the 2 3/4 inside the 2 3/4 coupler, leaving me plenty sticking out because it's only going halfway down. All right. Next, we're going to cut some discs of 20-pound paper. It's just regular printer paper. Okay, just like these little sleeves, little filters, little air filters is pretty much what they are. All right, and then I'm going to take this and put the second collar on there. All right, so what did I use for this? Okay, to get the right size. Okay, to get the right size for this, I used a little mason jar ring. This is just comes on one of those canning jars or mason's jars. It worked out perfect for size. It took me a little while to get the right size, but this size worked perfect. So take one of these little mason jar rings, and you're going to put that over the top, just in the center it up. Then you're going to take this sleeve right here and you're going to put it on top and get it even, because you really kind of want to make sure that you don't have any air holes in there, and it's a little hard to do on camera, but you want to make sure that you get that thing even on there before you push this all the way down. And the reason I don't glue it is because if I ever get a hole in there, or something happens to this paper, or gets clogged up or whatever, I can always take this off and change it. That's why I don't glue anything but the bottom on there. All right, and then you're going to push that down on there, just like so. And you want to try to get it nice and smooth. No gaps over here, no holes, because that's going to let the air leak out, and it's also going to end up pushing your paint down inside. Try to get it down as far as you can, as tight as you can against this rim, so you don't have powder paint up under here. All right, I'm gonna put this on the floor and step on it. There we go. Got it nice and tight down in there. All right, next thing we're gonna do is, like I said, I bought these on Amazon, like a whole bag of them, like 20 of them for like, I don't know, $5. I don't think it was more than $10, but I got 20 of these little valves. And I've tried some other ones. I went up to the aquarium store and bought these, and for some reason these things aren't working right. They just don't shut the air off completely. You want to be able to adjust it. So get these ones on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for them, because they worked out perfect, and it'll match up to what everything I'm telling you. All right, so next we're going to do is drill a hole to put this in. All right, and the size I used, I believe believe, is a 13/16. So first, to get me started, I drill a little pilot hole in here. And it doesn't matter where you go, just as long as you don't go up too high. I kind of stayed towards the bottom and drill a little pilot hole, just so my bigger bit ain't walking around. Then come in with your 13/16. Clean that out. Alright, and then we're going to super glue this little valve in there. And the reason why I super glued it is because when you go to try to tighten the valve, it's going to spin and turn around on you, and eventually it's just going to be all messed up, and you're going to have to replace your valve. So I went on and glued mine in. And my glue's not cooperating today, of course. I don't know why. There it goes. Just get a little bead around it. Doesn't take much. You're just holding it so it don't twist around on you when you're working the little valve. And that 13/16 bit fits right in there perfect. I had to even go up to the hardware store just to get one to make sure I got the right size. Alright, so there it is, pretty much. Next, we're going to take what we got left. We got a 2-inch piece left. And like I said, some people use smaller ones. I wanted a bigger one just so I could do like spinnerbaits and things like that with longer hooks and be able to dip it down in there. And it uses about a half of a jar of one of these. Okay. Alright, and then what's left is you have a cap, another cap for the top. And there's your whole fluid bed. Just there. Just like that. I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to mess with that one right now. I want to let that valve dry. But I got another one here that I'll finish put together. Alright, that the valve's already glued in. So you can see now I can turn it around and the valve's not going to spin or anything like that. Alright, so I got to get another collar. So we already got our bottom glued on there. We've got our 1.5 in there. We've got our 2 3/4 sleeve. We got our 2-inch piece put in here. Take our little filter that we made from here with this thing. I'm going to cover that over, kind of center it up, and like I said, that size worked perfect. Slide this over the top. Just kind of even it up. If you get it even, you can slide this right down without getting any wrinkles or cracks or splits or anything that's gonna leave a little space in there. Take a look at it before you push it all the way down. I did have to do a couple of these over because I didn't look at it. And there you go. Put this on the floor, give it a little step. Drill your 3/16 hole, glue your valve in there. Take your cap, put your cap on there. You're ready for paint. Alright, let's show you how this works. I'm going to plug up my Blaze Orange. That one didn't glue very well. I'm going to have to re-glue that. And I marked the colors on there, put them on my shelf so I know what's in here. And let me see, I'll just tilt it a little bit for you because you'll be able to see how it works. Close your valve up all the way, put your paint in there, just I dump like a half a jar of it in there. Plug your pump in or turn your pump on. Okay, and once you got your pump on, let's see if I can raise this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. And once you get your pump on, just start opening your valve a little bit. Now you might need to take something and just kind of stir it up when you first dump it in there, just so that powder paint gets kind of packed. Be careful you don't poke a hole through your filter though. And then once you start adding some air to it, slowly give it a little shake. Just give it a little, and you can see how that paint, I hope you can see in the camera, you can see how that paint is kind of puffing up a little bit. You don't want to do too much air at once, and you want to kind of get that paint just rolling around in there a little bit. Give it a little shake, you can kind of get it working. And what that does is there it goes, it's kind of rolling now. You don't want to get too many like volcanoes, they call it, where it's blowing out really hard. It's kind of hard to tilt it so you can see it, but you can see it puts air in that paint. So now I can just dip my jig down in there once I heat it up, and we're gonna do I'll do some videos on making jigs, chatterbaits, all that stuff. All right, but you can see that it's almost like fluid in there now, and it just paints so much nicer than just dipping it in the jar. And relatively easy and cheap to make these. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Make you some fluid beds if you're gonna do these jigs along with me. We're gonna do a whole bunch of different jigs. I got a whole bunch of jigs down in there. And we're going to play around with different colors and see what all we can create. Alright, so hope that helped you guys if you're wanting to get into making jigs and spinner baits and things like that. First thing is you're going to need a fluid bed. And that's why I decided to do this video first before we start with any jigs or any other kind of lead-based baits. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I'll put all the sizes down in the description. You can just go down in the description and get the sizes that you need to build one of these and the things. I'll put a link to the valves, and yeah, you can make you some fluid bed paint, powder paint. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be making some jigs. We're going to be making all kinds of lead-based baits. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you get notified when we put up the next video. And always remember, stay crusty, my friends.